Have you ever been labeled crazy? Have you ever heard that you cannot be depressed because you look so happy? Well, let's talk about the stigma of mental health and what we can do about it. We will look at it from the functional medicine point of view, and I will show you some neurotransmitter cutting edge functional medicine tests. We will talk about the mindset, but also about the gut brain connection. Ready? If you see me for the first time today, welcome. I am a functional medicine nutritionist, Blanka Campbell, and I'm based in Switzerland. And I love to talk to people and share all my knowledge and also practical examples. So as you can see on this picture, this is me and my grandma and my mom. And I look like my grandma, the nose, the eyes, but I definitely don't want to end up like she did with Parkinson's disease, Alzheimer's, and also the DNA methylation polymorphism, which I have. So my aim in this life is to help people to turn back the disease and understand the root cause, the underlying cause. And I specialize in gastrointestinal issues, bloating, farting, diarrhea, and constipation, hormonal imbalances, perimenopause, which is me, and menopause, and also andropause for men. And lastly, mental and emotional well-being. I'm also a hormone yoga therapist and I am very spiritual. And so today I want to talk about genes and maybe even epigenetics. So as you maybe know, genetics loads the gun, but it's the environment that pulls the trigger. And so everything that we do, mental, emotional, nutritional, spiritual, and physical, has impact on our genes. So for example, the DNA methylation puts the tax on the trigger and makes sure that the genes are not turned on and off in a wrong direction. The histone modification is like a dimmer switch, or you can even imagine it like a highlighter when you are reading the genetic code. And then the non-coding RNA is silencing the genes. There are many books written on this, but this one is quite interesting if you love to read more about it. So what is the difference between hormones and neurotransmitters? Let me give you my personal story. So 9 years ago, I was driving from France, where I live, to Czech Republic, my hometown, Pardubice. And already in Prague, which is 2 hours from Pardubice, my hometown, I was tired. It was 4 o'clock in the afternoon. We stopped at the McDonald's, and I just wanted to go to the toilet. My kids and my sister, they were waiting in the car. So it's in the afternoon. I enter into the toilet, and then I hear the door. And I was thinking, okay, another lady. I will make her business because I just don't want to hear everything, and then I will take my time. I was completely silent in there. Something in me, maybe intuition, maybe my guardian angel, told me, run away. So I pulled my underwear up. I had a short summery dress and I opened the door and there was a man lying on the floor. He grabbed my leg and he tried to pull me down and he wanted to rape me. Somehow I was able, with the help of a neurotransmitter, adrenaline, to escape. And I came out and I couldn't even speak. I couldn't even think. I just said to my sister, take a picture of that man and the car. So she took the picture. Then I was sitting in the car. The tremor came up. I was shaking because the adrenaline went into the full spin. And only 2 hours later, I was able to speak about it with the hormone cortisol still being in my bloodstream. So neurotransmitters is the speed and is the location. It travels very quickly and it has an immediate impact, while hormones are very slow. So here, neurotransmitters. You can see the neuron with all the vesicles with the hormones is going to release, because we have the adrenaline and dopamine and other neurotransmitters stores in the vesicles. And then it's like a propagation. It's a domino effect. It stimulates the other neurons to propagate the electric signal. And all of this happens within milliseconds. Neurotransmitters, if we don't feed them, if the danger goes away, They disappear, they reabsorb or are broken down by enzymes within 14 to 90 seconds. However, if we feed it in our head, it's the hormones that start to get released. So when we talk about neurotransmitters, I'm sure that you know serotonin. We call it happy hormone. It has many other functions. Dopamine is the reward center when you can anticipate something going to happen. You are going for a date. You can already imagine what it's going to be like because you had it before and you anticipate it, and the dopamine is higher and higher and it motivates you to do whatever it takes. This, unfortunately, is connected also with addiction. It can be addiction to watching adult films, drinking alcohol, smoking, taking drugs, gambling, you name it. Any addiction is high dopamine, and we want more and more and more. And today we are going to talk about ADHD, which is also connected to high levels of dopamine. In my example, I was talking about adrenaline. Americans call it epinephrine. So it's when all the bloodstream goes into the hands, legs, head, away from the digestion, because you are running away from a tiger, fight and flight. Histamine. Maybe you have a histamine intolerance, histamine reactions, food allergies. So you know very well that if you eat a peanut butter and you have allergy to peanuts, what's happened? It's the release of the histamine. Or when you drink wine or eat aged cheese, and then you have a rush or itchiness in your body. And this very often happens in perimenopause as well, due to the decline of the estrogen and progesterone. And I'm sure that you know GABA. You might know it either from the meditation, because it's the alpha brainwaves when you calm down, or some people know it after the first glass of wine or any alcohol that also releases GABA, the sound of relaxation. But let's move to hormones. So hormones are released from glands. You maybe know pancreas, which is on the picture, that releases insulin. And insulin is like a key that unlocks the door for the glucose, sugar, so that it can enter into the cell and can be turned into ATP, adenosine triphosphate, the energy in mitochondria. Then you maybe also know thyroid hormones that are released from the thyroid gland, and they're responsible for the metabolism, burning the fat, for example. And this is like a slow and long response, like with cortisol. And it's going in the waves. So we release cortisol every morning when we are waking up, and it helps us to go with happiness and flow through the days. And then as the afternoon arrives, the cortisol is going down. And in the evening, it's very low so that we can fall asleep. This is in the optimal scenario. So hormones are destroyed after the action. So when cortisol is not needed, it's broken down and eliminated from the body. And it also has impact on the organs and the target tissue. So now you know what is the difference between hormones and neurotransmitters. And here are some of the hormones that we were like talking about even in previous sessions. Now, let's look at some of the conditions that are associated with the neurotransmitter imbalance. Addictive behavior, ADHD, Alzheimer's, anger, anxiety, depression, excessive appetite, autism spectrum disorder, autoimmune disease, constipation, diarrhea, epilepsy, all of this. But let's make it a little bit practical. So first thing first, there is no stigma around it, and it can happen anytime to anybody. Why? Because some triggers come. Stressful lifestyle situation, because the life is a roller coaster. Financial problems, relationship problems, debilitating chronic disease of the loved ones or your one. Traumatic memories, like my traumatic memory 9 years ago, it sometimes comes and it has to go. Hormonal imbalance, perimenopause, menopause, andropause, and of course, parenting and the family. That can be sometimes challenging, and it is important to ask for the help. But for example, the attention deficit, the hyperactivity, everybody can label themselves with this. So restlessness, disorganization, impulsivity, ease to anger. Already when I'm saying this, I can see myself. If you were to see my living room, how it is, it's mess everywhere. I am disorganized. I don't have any time, like time management. I don't even know what it is. I sometimes have difficulty to focus, but what on things that I'm not interested in? Because yeah, if I am interested in something like functional medicine, I can watch it and read it for hours and hours and hours. So I get quickly distracted at things like a mobile phone, but I can still get it under control. So maybe I have ADHD and maybe not. So maybe it's subclinical, but clinical ADHD, especially for children, is a person must present with onset before the age of 12, with symptoms that cannot be accounted for any other mental or medical condition that has persisted for at least 6 months. Exhibit inattention, hyperactivity, impulsivity for at least 6 months, and exhibits impairment or struggle in social, academic, or occupational settings. So, is that you as well? Many of us. Is the life with ADHD possible? Yes. Is there perhaps any underlying issue regarding genetics or epigenetics? And is there something that we can do about it? And I would say yes, because in functional medicine, we are looking at the root cause. So the root cause can be environmental exposure, toxicity, mercury, lead, food additives. So especially when I have clients, children, and I ask the mother, so what do you feed them? It's processed food because they are busy. They don't have time to cook. It's all these candies, all the Haribos that are full of food additives, which actually has impact on the mood and hyperactivity of the children. Mercury, lead. So mercury, for example, in tuna or other fish, in vaccinations, in medication, it's everywhere around us. So running the test and seeing if you have high levels of toxins and then looking for a professional that helps you to eliminate the toxins from your body safely. Genetic polymorphism. And even I have this, and so many people. So we are, for example, not able to activate the B12. So even though you are eating eggs and meat, that's inactive B12. But if you look at the active one, holotranscobalamin, the levels are very low. And in this case, it's important to supplement methylated B12. The same can go for B6 and B9 and even vitamin A. So the DNA test would reveal all of this. Gut pathogens, so parasites, yeast, bacteria. Why? Because to reproduce, they're stealing the iron, B12, and B6 from you, and then you have low levels, therefore nutritional deficiency, and it might have impact on your neurotransmitters. The same goes for the zinc that is important for the immune system, and the research shows that omega-3, which is anti-inflammatory, helps with the brain neurochemistry, infection and inflammation. So if you have autoimmune disease, or if you have run the test and you see that you have high sensitivity CRP, which is inflammation, or high uric acid, or actually high ferritin, which is also a marker of the inflammation in the body, it's important to find out where is the inflammation and take action. Uncontrolled stress. It's the mindset. Maybe you are having on your plate more than you can chew. Hormonal imbalance, perimenopause, and menopause can also have impact on the mood. You don't feel like yourself anymore. And for this reason, watch the previous video that was about hormones and how to speak to your doctor. So finding the root cause is important. Last week, one of my clients was running a urinary neurotransmitter test. This is very easy to order. It comes home, you just urinate, then the DHL collects it from your home, and then within 2 weeks, you know exactly what's your problem. So this female, 46 years old, was telling me, I have ADHD, so she labeled herself with ADHD. She suffered with constipations and psychosis. So actually, after going to Peru and having the ayahuasca, she had to go to the psychiatric clinic because her mental state became even worse. She suffered with candida and clostridia. We were running also the stool test, so that's how I know it. And insomnia. And then she feels the fatigue and she has migraine because she also reacts to the histamine, and she has fibromyalgia, so she has like pain wherever she touched. These are the touch points of the fibromyalgia and irregular period. So immediately when I looked at her urinary test results, I could see that she has very low P. I could see that she has really high dopamine, so ADHD really confirmed. And she was not able to break down the metabolites of dopamine, and so she was building the 3-MT even higher. It just wasn't breaking down, and it was really high. I could also see that the metabolite from the epinephrine, adrenaline, was very high, and so was even the adrenaline. So how can she sleep if her dopamine and adrenaline are extremely high, while the P, which I will talk about, is very low? And that's not all. I could also see that she had really high levels of tryptamine, which is the precursor of tryptophan. And she also shared with me that in her family, many members have Parkinson's. And I could see that she has the genetic predisposition for that as well, and that we will have to do something. She couldn't feel happy and satisfied because her serotonin level was so low. And that was also the reason of the constipation, because we need serotonin for the motility in the gut. I could also see that she had very low glutamate that I will be talking about, and her GABA levels were quite high. So here is only one example of the neurotransmitter pathway where you can see that you need to have phenylalanine as a building block to build a P. So then I'm thinking, is it because she doesn't have enough of the phenylalanine? Or is it that she is taking it the other way to build the dopamine? Can be. Is this a dopamine steal? And then on these small numbers, you can see which building blocks we actually need to make it. Is she low in B6? And for this reason, she's not able to increase the levels of the PEA. And is she low in MAO enzyme, so monoamine oxidase? And that's why she is still having the high levels of the 3-MT, the metabolite of dopamine, and she's not able to eliminate it from the body. So let's look a little bit further. So with the P, that was the major one. Because in functional medicine, we are not concentrating first on the excitatory high-level neurotransmitters, but we are trying to make the person feel better by improving those ones that are low. So why do we need P? And why would that make her feel better? Because as you can see, P induces the feeling of happiness, pleasure, emotional well-being. P is actually like amphetamine-like compound, and very often it's used in the treatment of ADHD. The drug is called Ritalin. So if she can have something natural that is almost like the synthetic drug amphetamine, why would we not help her to increase it naturally? And what can we do about it? P also mimics the naturally occurring endorphin, the runner's high. Who wouldn't want that? And for that, we need the B12. So first I will ask her, look, there are some food sources of the P, this phenylalanine. Are you eating chocolate, eggs? Can you take, for example, red clover as a supplement? Are you eating cheese, nuts, and seeds? And most probably she would agree that she can eat this. But because I want to make her feel better soon, I'm going to help her to order a supplement from my favorite company, Lambert's, Neurologic. And what does it have? It has P, and it has methylated form of B12 B6 and B1 that is important for the neurotransmitters and psychological health. So this is going to be the first step. But of course, we want to dig deeper. So did she really have a B12 deficiency? And you can see yes, because B6, so the active form of B6 is called PLP. And you can see that she had 7.4. So she was below the lowest level. So yes, she has a B6 deficiency. Does she have probably the genetic polymorphisms that she's not able to activate it and absorb it from food? Most probably. Is she low in B12? So this is inactive B12. It's a lower number. I would probably expect more around like 460, 500, 600, especially because she was supplementing, but she was supplementing a wrong form. And she was also very low in folic acid, which is vitamin B9. So we will be increasing all the B vitamins. B6 is needed for the liver detoxification and methylation. That's why we will need it. And as you can see, for the serotonin, adrenaline, and the nerve cells, her serotonin levels were very, very low. And all the steroid hormones as well. And this might be the reason why she has irregular period, because she doesn't have the building block. And also the poor immune system, PMS, histamine intolerance, kidney stones, bloating, ADHD, anxiety, and depression is a typical sign of B6 deficiency. So everything that so far we found in her test is confirming. She also had high dopamine, which is typical for the psychosis, anxiety, depression, panic attacks, suicidal intentions, hiccups, nausea, and constipation. And yes, she had many of these signs and symptoms. Low serotonin, ADHD, anxiety, autism, chronic fatigue, and she was tired, and she had fibromyalgia, insomnia, migraines, and Parkinson's disease in the family. So now she's 46, but knowing what's in her family history and what she has in the neurotransmitters, we can prevent it. So here again, the keyword epigenetics, we can turn it around. She had low glutamate, and glutamate is important for the memory, learning, sleep, libido, and also glutathione, which is a very potent antioxidant in the body. And she had high tryptamine, which is typical for people with Parkinson's disease, psychosis, and schizophrenia. So I'm not going to go through all her tests, but I want to point out the low glutamate and maybe high glutamate for some of you. So let's say that Asians and Asian cuisine, very often it's using synthetic glutamate to enhance the taste. And this is called umami taste. So people who eat quite a lot of miso, mushrooms, oyster sauce, seafoods, soya sauce, fermented beans, they're most probably going to have higher levels of glutamate. And if this is not in the repertoire of your food, maybe you can start supplementing glutamine, L-glutamine, which means activated glutamine. And this is absolutely brilliant for the gut health. You will see it on other slides as well, because glutamine is healing the gut lining, which is only one cell thick. And from glutamine, you can create glutathione, the powerful antioxidant, anti-aging. I will also recommend to her probiotics, and these are the probiotics that can help her to improve her neurotransmitters. Remember, chaos in the gut leads to the misery in the brain. So if somebody says it's all in your head, tell them maybe not. Maybe it's also in my gut because it's the second brain. So 70% of doctor's visits are due to stress. IBS is managed with antidepressants. So serotonin, selective serotonin receptor inhibitors, okay? Why? Serotonin, neurotransmitter, but also hormone. Autism and ADHD, very often with probiotics. Parkinson's disease is treated with a drug called L-DOPA, and also MAO, the enzyme that needs to break it down. IBD, the irritable bowel disease, which is quite severe, is treated with the fecal microbial transplant. So this is bio-directional communication, and that's why you should do maybe the stool tests, or take care of your gut. Because, as I said, it's only one cell thick. And these villi and these cells, if they're damaged, then everything that you swallow, all the pathogens, all the bacteria, parasites, all the food particles that might not be broken down because you are stressed, they enter into the bloodstream. And these immune cells are going to fight it, which can actually cause autoimmune disease in a long term. So what's causing leaky gut, this intestinal hyperpermeability and the damage of the gut? Well, first of all, it's stress. So it's cortisol, alcohol, definitely, inflammation, medication. Medication, for example, ibuprofen. It's damaging the gut lining, the stomach lining, causing ulcers. But people who have migraines, who have high histamine intolerance, they very often use ibuprofen, and it's a vicious circle. Anti-nutrients, which is lectins, for example, in the beans. So you must know your IgG, immunoglobulin G. What are you sensitive to? Or what are you allergic to? And then avoid the food that might be seemingly healthy, like, for example, spinach, aubergine, tomatoes. It's vegetable, but it's very high in histamine, and it may be causing more harm than good. And then, of course, chemicals and pesticides. So choosing the organic or at least washing the vegetable properly might be a good step. Artificial sweeteners. Just don't use anything that was made by man. Prepare the food on your own. But let's talk about the stool. So what the stool should look like. The only type 3 and 4 are what you want to see in the toilet. A sausage shape with cracks in the surface, or even better, like a smooth, soft sausage or snake that plops into the toilet and you don't need to use any toilet paper. You evacuate your bowel every single morning between 5 and 7. This is the internal organ clock in a traditional Chinese medicine, but every single day, at least once or maybe twice. Constipation is unacceptable. With constipation, if you are very constipated or slightly constipated, type 1 and type 2, and if you are having diarrhea, this is severe inflammation in the gut, you should do the stool test and you should do the 5R functional medicine protocol to restore the gut health and therefore restore your hormonal and neuronal health. So how can you repair the gut wall? So these are all the nutrients that are needed every single day. It's not once a week, it's every single day. So probiotics, so you can either take it in supplements, some of the probiotics that I showed in a previous slide, or you can eat it in food. I will show you. Prebiotics is the food for the good bacteria. So once you eliminate the pathogens, you will be building and feeding the good bacteria. And then, of course, all the antioxidants, polyphenols, which are in fruit and vegetable. Vitamin A, C, zinc, magnesium, L-glutamine, vitamin D3, and omega-3. So let's look in details. So fermented food is brilliant probiotic. Kefir, yogurt, tempeh, sauerkraut, kimchi, natto, every single day, at least 1 or 2 spoons. Prebiotics, it's like a dietary fiber. So here, if you are not used to that, you have to go very slowly because it can cause bloating, eating too much of the fiber. And especially if you have pathogenic bacteria, then you are going to have a really stinky farts. But overall, it's very healthy. You just need to find the right threshold for you. Plant polyphenols, so it's the color, purple, red, eating the rainbow. Dark chocolate is on the list too, if you don't have histamine intolerance, because chocolate can increase the histamine. So what should you really eat? I always say this is so simple. Eat the natural food that your ancestors were eating. I know it's very tempting to order kiwi from New Zealand or avocado from Peru, but if it does not grow in your environment, you shouldn't eat it. Why? because you are not going to have the digestive enzymes to break it down, and you are maybe going to feed the bacteria with it. So always check the list of ingredients. If you can read it and you know exactly what it is, flour, milk, fat, you know what it is. But as soon as it has a list of names that you cannot even pronounce, put it down. And actually the food shouldn't really need any packaging. Cucumber is cucumber. Butter is butter. Eat seasonal and local food. Don't shop hungry or without a shopping list. Because if you go shopping hungry, you're going to buy significantly more unhealthy food than you intended. And check the list of the Dirty Dozen and Clean 15. You can download it on my website. You find it even on the internet. This is like released every single year. So the Dirty Dozen is the food where lots of pesticides and herbicides needs to be used to treat it. And Clean 15 is the list of food that you don't need to buy in organic quality, because usually it's not damaged by the beetles, for example. Don't overcomplicate your life. Like, it is so simple to prepare a meal in 5 to 10 minutes. You can buy frozen vegetable, organic frozen vegetable, which is equally good because you cannot destroy minerals, and certain vitamins are still going to be stored in it. You are going to cook it anyway. Cooked food is good. Frozen fish. I love frozen salmon of high quality. And eat mindfully. So sitting on your own, preferably, and really thinking about what you eat and chewing every single spoonful 30 times. It is very challenging. And eat only when you are genuinely hungry. So very often, including myself, when I'm preparing presentation like this, and I'm thinking, I feel like to have something, but it's emotional eating. I'm not hungry. Hunger means when your stomach is rumbling. That's a real hunger. And I bet it's not happening to many of us very often. So if you say like, but I eat healthfully, I don't have any genetic predisposition, but I still, occupy myself with things. So think about it. Mindfulness is like a software, and the thoughts are very important. And only you can take control over the thoughts. And the change does not happen overnight. So using yoga, meditation, but having a mentor, having a guru, having a therapist who is walking you through the process is the best investment. So nutrition, hardware, cellular health, we have covered. And yes, the body is the garden of your soul, so it's important. So the step number 1 is the awareness. Being aware of your habits and maybe limiting beliefs, accepting that there is a space for improvement, and then taking action. I love this quote from Lao Tzu. Watch your thoughts. They become your words. Watch your words. They become your actions. Watch your actions. They become your habits. Watch your habits. They become your character. Watch your character. It becomes your destiny. So it's all about the frequencies, because your thoughts can either have a low vibration or high vibration. So you choose your thoughts. We have 60,000 thoughts every single day, and many of them were there yesterday and the day before, and we make ourselves angry. And believe me, this happens to me every single day. And for example, I'm supposed to have a consultation with a client that is slightly difficult, always complaining. And as I'm preparing for it, I can already imagine myself, oh, she's going to complain again. And then she will say why she couldn't do that. And she will blame everybody. And I have to stop myself and say, no, the words become my destiny. I have to turn it around and think about, how can I support her on her journey, and how I can turn her mindset and not allow her to complain, but feel like a goddess. And so when I come into the consultation with a higher vibration, The person is going to vibrate exactly in my vibrations. And at the end, they feel amazing. So I always have to set myself to vibrate high. Can you, maybe for 7 days, watch your thoughts and see which ones are those ones that come every day? And what is the automatic autopilot answer that makes you think something? And how can you turn it around? So instead of when you catch yourself saying something like, just cannot do it, this is not possible. So ask yourself, how can I? How can I? And then write it down. And more you do this, more you can change your mindset. So it's all about the state, peak state, the state of flow. So if you know the book of Mihaly, Csikszentmihalyi, The Flow, I highly recommend it, because when we get into the state of flow, and this is even for people with ADHD, when you lose the track of the time, and then suddenly you look at your watch and you're like, oh my goodness, 2 hours passed. Where has the time gone? Then you know that actually don't have ADHD. When you follow your soul, when you do something that fills your cup, you can focus and you can concentrate. And maybe you just don't have a patience for things that do not fill your cup. So emotion is energy in motion, and you, only you, have the full control over it, because it is your internal thermostat that is set up to something. And the external environment, the thermometer, should not have impact on you. You choose your vibration, and that's how you vibrate. And then everything else around you is going to vibrate in your vibration as well. Motivation is a feeling, and it also disappears within a couple of seconds. We were talking about the dopamine. So you just need to feed it with your thoughts. You can keep yourself in that state. How can you do it? So if you feel very stressed, massage and meditation can help you vibrate higher. Thermogenesis, hot and cold, hot shower, or just when you are stressed, go into the cold water. It completely changes the biochemistry in your body. Exercise and relaxation, so endorphins, we have seen. Runners high, vibrating high, and priming. So it's even how you stay, or you can tap like a Tarzan, the thymus. So all these things help if you believe them, because you must believe it and you must become it. So I would say, be your priority and know your purpose. Find a therapist if you need help. Spend time with friends, but those ones that inspire you, because you are going to be influenced by the 5 friends that you are surrounded with. Join a support group, people that love the same thing. Take breaks for yourself and keep up with your hobbies. And if you are now saying, but I cannot, stop yourself and say, how can I? How can I find some time for me? How can I keep up with hobbies? How can I join a support group? It's so easy. Last but not least, let's remind ourselves of Dalai Lama. Health is the biggest wealth. When asked what surprised him most about humanity, the Dalai Lama answered, man, because he sacrifices his health to make money. And then he sacrifices money to recuperate his health. And then he's so anxious about the future that he does not enjoy the present. The result is that he does not live in the present or the future. He lives as if he is never going to die, and then he dies, never really lived. So ask yourself, am I chasing money? Am I doing a job or something in my life just because of money? Am I chasing that? And how can I enjoy every single minute of my life doing what I love and knowing what is my purpose? So I hope that I inspired you, and I look forward to our next session.